Hello and welcome to Ditch Witch Diaries. We are continuing on with the next herb for cleansing, and this time I'm going to share, and in contrast to our last herb, which had very little, this herb is expansive. It has so much. So here we go. Let's just get started. Let's just share. I can't believe we haven't done it before.
I know.
It's
I feel
very,
like that with a lot of the herbs.
yeah,
Ah,
Vervain is the herb, and it has a lot of there's lore that definitely ties Vervain to cleansing. So we'll talk about it, and I'm gonna
mhm.
stop sharing actually right now, even though I just started sharing because I want to show you, even though they're not very different, but so they're both verbena. It's Verbena Officinalis is just regular vervain, and Verbena Hastata is blue vervain. So I'm going to stop the share right
Mhm.
now and I will show you this. So this is the thing of vervain that I have, and that's just regular vervain. And that's blue vervain. So they're not looking very much different.
Yeah.
Whatever. So there you go.
Um,
So let's continue on. So here is a picture of the Verbena officinalis, and that's what AI thinks it looks like, which isn't so bad. And then because that's what the picture of it is. So pretty good.
yeah.
Not so bad. So there's fun literature that contains Vervain references. So we're going to start first with this. But like the hyssop where it grows, its rootlets biting on the stone, it learns how life may best sustain, how turn each outward wrong to inward profiting of pain. And living hard may so live long. That was an
Nice.
Inkwright's book. It's called Blown Seed of Sun. That's by
Hmm.
Emily Pfeiffer. Now, this one is very interesting. So, get ready. See. I rise in the morning by the earliest of dawn, and I go forth to walk through pleasant vales. It should be all in the mountains or the news fair, seeking for luck while onward still I roam, seeking for rue and vervain scented sweet, because they bring good fortune unto all. I keep them safely guarded in my bosom, that none may know it. 'Tis a secret thing and sacred too, and thus I speak the spell. O Vervain, ever be a benefit, and may thy blessing be upon the witch, or on the fairy who did give thee to me. It was Diana who did come to me, all in the night in a dream, and said to me, if thou wouldst keep all evil folk afar, then ever keep the vervain and the rue safely beside thee. And that was from
Hmm.
Aradia, the Gospel of the Witches. So,
Nice.
very interesting stuff there.
Hmm.
And it's very interesting because scented sweet, I don't think it's scented sweet. It's not. So that's even
Hmm.
more funny that they said it's
Um,
it doesn't have a smell. Very the flowers
mhm.
don't either. I mean, no, yeah, smells woody. So the parts used are the leaves, the flowering heads, and any of really the above ground portions. Other names, and there are many: Bijou Zakura, Blue Vervain, Britannica, Devil's Bane, Ectis Eisenkraut. We're going to talk about that.
Hmm.
Enchanter's Herb, Enchanter's Plant, Herba Sacra, Herb of Grace, Herb of the Cross, Holywort, Iron Herb, Juno's Tears, Mosquito Plant, Pigeon's Grass, Pigeonwood, Simpler's Joy, Tears of Isis, Van, Vervain just spelled alternately. White vervain, wild hyssop, Zelznik Lakarski. Quite a name there. So,
Is is that the same as, is it Van Van or Von Von oil that like hoodoo practitioners use?
yes, it's Van Van.
Oh,
And I think it's
interesting.
Vervain is what it is.
Huh.
So the element it's associated with is fire or earth, or I've heard the earthy part of air.
Hmm.
So the planet, and we're gonna talk about this. This is great. This plant has aspects of all these planets about it, and we're gonna every time we get to one, I've pointed it out, like why it's
Hmm.
tied to that planet. So Sun, Mars, Saturn, Venus, Jupiter, and Mercury. And I'll point them all out when we get there. The astrological sign is Gemini. And which is interesting because if it's fire and earth and the earthy part of air, Gemini is an air sign, so it kind of makes sense.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I kind of think it's more earthy than fire, but earthy plants usually have these really deep roots, and we don't really use its roots, so it's interesting. So Tarot, the magician, and then so like Warts and Cunning says the suit of swords, justice, and the Hierophant. And I don't know. I kind of like the magician better for it. Maybe the Hierophant, but I don't, the suit of
The
swords,
word seems strange. Yeah.
yeah, like we disagree. Like that's all I'll
Yeah.
say. We disagree with her. We enjoy how she
Hmm.
puts stuff together, but we terribly disagree generally.
Yeah.
So the chakra is the throat or the third eye, probably because of the purple, I suspect.
Mhm.
And the Sabbat is midsummer. So it's tied, this is a sun, this is a part where it's tied to the planet of the sun. So it's gathered during midsummer, or it's gathered at the rise of Sirius when there's no sun or moon out. So Sirius is like the dog planet or the dog star. So it's considered. So midsummer is gathered. So if you gather um, Vervain at midsummer, then you toss the previous or like Vervain that you gathered at midsummer into the midsummer fires. That's the tradition.
Hmm.
But it can be used at all sabbats through the year. So the moon phase is waxing or full. And of course, Words and Cunning says dark, but I don't think so because it's not like about like deep shadow work and
Yeah.
that's not
And
what it
especially with its like Sabbat being midsummer, like that doesn't go at all.
exactly. So full to waxing is like that's cleansing. That's kind of like more like
Yeah.
when you're getting rid of stuff and you're
Yeah.
yeah, so there you go. The
Hmm.
goddesses are Aphrodite, Aradia, obviously we just talked about that. Artemis, Bast, Caradwin, Diana, the Fae, Hecate, Inanna, Isis, Juno, Kali, and Venus. The crystals it's associated with are opals and agates. And I found a symbolic meaning, and I love when I do this because there was this show, and I think we've referenced it before, but it was I think I don't know what streaming service it was on, and I wish I knew the name of it, but it was with Sigourney Weaver, and it was all about like flowers and like the meaning of flowers. Like they would give like a bouquet of flowers, and they would be able to decipher the deep meaning behind the like what the person was trying to say by like the meaning, the symbolic meaning of the flowers that
Hmm.
they used together. It's kind of rad.
Like the similar to what do they call it, like Victorian language or flowers or whatever?
Yes, yes, but
Oh, interesting.
yes, but in fact, I'm gonna stop and get the name of this because it was such a good series. It's worth a shout out. The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart was the
Hmm.
series, and I think it's on like Amazon Prime.
Interesting.
Yes, it was good. It was a good show, and I enjoyed it very much. And it was like it had that because it was course, it was about plants. So, of course, I liked it. I loved it,
Of course.
of
Yeah.
course. So, the symbolic meaning of Vervain is hope in the darkness, or pray for me, pure affection, or you enchant me. So the plant information. So this is the whole thing. It's the verbena, like what's the deal? That's what I thought. So what's the deal with like verbena and vervain? And verbena is like the Latin name, but what's the deal with that? So the deal is this. All vervain is verbena. However, like verbena though is a larger category. It's a genus, and there's a lot more verbenas that are not vervains. But verbena, I don't even think it's in the genus of verbena. Like it's not
That
even
drives
the
me crazy
Latin
when they
name
do
for
that.
lemon verbena is different. So when you look up the Latin, somebody will have to do lemon verbena.
Yeah.
So some authors, they don't even, oh, here, I have it right here. Okay, so excellent. So some like authors I found, like if you're not careful, like they don't even really know what they're talking about sometimes because you have to get really clear. That's why I always include the Latin name and we always try to do this because plants are different. And I want to move this down a little bit. Let's see if we can do this. I don't like it. No. Okay. Anyway, so plants are different and you have to know what plant you're talking about, right? So
Mhm.
the vervain, just regular vervain, is Verbena officinalis. The blue vervain is Verbena hastata, and lemon verbena is Aloysia citrodora. So
Hmm.
there you go. So it grows all like in England, it grows wild and it grows by the roadsides or in sunny pastures. It's just like kind of a roadside plant in England. Kind of like our datura or our white sage. That's what I would probably
Mhm.
liken it to, right?
Yeah.
It's a
Or even
perennial
dandelion.
dandelion, or even like you can find not the German chamomile, but California
Mm,
chamomile. You can find that all over the place if you look.
yeah.
Just pick it up and smell it a little bit, and it has that like yummy smell. Anyway,
Mm.
so this is where it gets tied to Jupiter because it's a perennial with pale purple flowers. So a lot of purple plants are tied with Jupiter. The name Vervain is from Celtic furfain, and fur is to drive away, and fain is a stone. And that might come like from like some of the medicinal like things that it does. It drives out like kidney stones and stuff like that. So we're going to find out about that. But Vervain is found in Europe, North Africa, China, and Japan. Although there's no lore about it there's medicinal uses, but all the lore generally comes from Europe and parts of the Middle East. Some parts in North Africa. We're going to talk about. I think there's some information about Egypt. So. And it does not have a scent. So that's funny, that whole erotia thing. Like I feel like it's like that's a weird thing when I don't know. I'm not into that erotia thing, but maybe some of you are and more power to you, but obviously someone doesn't realize that vervain is non-scented.
Uh,
So you're supposed to start vervain in the early spring when the moon is waxing. And there you go. So let's get right into this lore because there is so much of it. It's like abundant. So the Celts had lore about it, and it's kind of funny. So they soaked vervain in water, and the vervain had to be collected in a very specific way. It had to be gathered with the left hand at the rise of the star Sirius, which we talked about before, and then you like put it overnight in a pitcher of water, and then you sprinkled the water around the house for cleansing and protection. So something about that Saturn maybe because it's a protective herb, so that like ties it with Saturn. So Druids used it in lustral water, whatever that might be. I didn't even look that up. I was going to, but I didn't. So after being harvested, Druids left a gift of honey to recompense Earth for its loss. And it was worn as a crown during Druid initiation. Lots of Druid things. So Druid priestesses, and this is what this is, they harvested They harvested Vervain under a full moon at midnight. And this is like the most, there's a lot of insane ways to harvest Vervain, okay? This is one of like the silliest ones. They threw a loop of string around the plant, and then the other end they tied to the big toe of a virgin. And then as she walked, it would like rip the plant out, and then a senior priestess would collect it as it went along. So
Interesting.
very, isn't it wild? But it is one of the two most sacred plants to Druids, along with mistletoe. So vervain is very important. So then in England, just we're getting kind of more specific. I know Celtic lore and this all like kind of overlaps, right? And we're going to talk about different parts of like the United Kingdom kind of right now. So we're going to start with England. So at Midsummer, people decorated themselves with vervain and mugwort. So there you go. On the Isle of Man, infants were protected from the Fae with iron and vervain. So iron is tied with Mars. And you'll see it over and over again, vervain being tied with iron. So in a bunch of different ways, and we're going to like go through them, but it's really interesting how vervain is tied with iron. East Anglia, also around this parts, vervain was used to attract animals, and especially doves and eels.
Interesting.
I know, huh? In Ireland, okay, the name of it in probably Erse, or what is it Erse? Is I think like Irish is, let's see, is Erse. Let's see. I'm going to look this up. Scottish or Irish Gaelic language. So Gaelic, yeah. So that it's the name translates to lion's foot, which again, a lion is a sun animal. So now we're back to this sun association here. So now we move on to Greece, and there's like more ways, like crazy ways to harvest this stuff, right? So the Greek people said you had to harvest it with gold tools or a stag's antler, one or the other. So this is people harvesting it with gold scythes. So it could be used for love, and it can be used in Grecian people used it as an aphrodisiac. So then we move to Persia, which I find very interesting. So it was used in ceremonies, and it was carried so they have this whole thing about treaties, and in like different cultures like used vervain in treaties. So in Persia, they when they were creating either when they were creating treaties or when they were breaking them apart. So declaring war, because it could work to defy and cleanse like your enemies or reconcile. Both it could be used for. And it's connected with the sun. So when it was gathered, it was held aloft to the newly risen sun. So again, tying it to the sun. People smeared vervain smeared their body with the juice of vervain, and for a bunch of things, to have wishes granted, for reconciliation again, but this time more of friendships, and also to cure diseases. So Europe in the Middle Ages, people wore a crown of vervain for protection. So when doing spells where they called on spirits. So now we're tying it again to Saturn. So because that's for the protection comes in. A lot of protective herbs are ruled by Saturn. And then in Egypt, vervain is believed to have sprung from the tears of the goddess Isis. So there we have it. We're back to Rome. And see, this is another one. So it was carried during peace negotiations. Both the Persians and the Romans used it for this reconciling type of thing. And also like kind of when you were meeting up with other peoples. So it was used in Rome. Verbena was named for altar plant. Verbena was it was a name for altar plants in general. They would call it verbena. But it was also this actual verbena was bundled together as a whisk, which is very interesting. So I'll put a link in here to our banishing besom because it's kind of like the same idea. And it was used as a whisk to sweep altars of like negativity and cleanse it of even dust particulates, but also of like bad vibes and bad energy. So very cleansing. Pliny
We
said,
love Pliny.
I know, I love Pliny too. Pliny's everywhere. Pliny is always commenting, right? He said that
Yeah.
magicians drew a circle around the plant with an iron implement, so Mars again, then harvested it with the left hand to use it as a magical herb. So again, this like crazy cockamamie way of like harvesting. Like I feel like there's an intense amount of like things that you have to do to harvest verbena or
We
vervain.
talked about, I feel like the only other one where we've seen like outlandish ways of harvesting was Mandrake.
Oh
Remember,
yeah.
you have to like tie it to the horses and then like scare the horses and the horses pull it out. Yeah.
Yep. But I think that one was because you didn't want to be like touched by it or you didn't want to like be like
Yeah.
have the energy on you where this
Yeah.
is not I don't think it carries that negative association. I don't know why we're doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
All this like left hand and the iron implements
Yeah.
and the circle and
Toe.
the toes, exactly, like golden thighs and the
Yeah.
all this stuff. So then we get to like Jewish lore and Christianity, and I kind of put them all together, Judeo-Christian. They all are the same roots. So here we go.
Mhm.
So again, this cleansing, it was used by Solomon to asperge his temple. So asperge, he would dip the asperging means to when you dip a herb or even like a metal implement in Catholic churches, they use an asperger and they'll flick water on their people. But in Solomon's temple, he used vervain to dip the vervain in the water, and then he asperged people with or asperged his temple with the vervain. So asperging is just the act of, excuse me, using water to cleanse and but by whatever implement. So this is like double cleansing with the vervain. And this is a whole thing. It's tied with the Christ. So it's just, it was discovered on the Mount of Calvary. And it was said that it was used to staunch the wounds of the crucified Christ, like after he was taken down off the cross. So again, like this it's connected with blood and iron and Mars and the whole thing. Anytime, of course, there's iron and blood. So if it's a blood anything's tied to blood, it's tied to iron and tied to Mars. So in Germany, even as late until the 19th century, a wreath of vervain was given to a bride because it was connected with magical love properties. So this is truly an herb of magical love. I've seen it a couple different times in a couple different stories, so we can believe it to be so. Sometimes you hear in some books you hear like everything's tied to love. And so
Love
love,
and
love,
protection,
love.
love and protection.
Exactly. I know. Maybe they could get
Didn't
like go ahead.
I was gonna say it's usually found in a green book.
Exactly. Exactly. One that you'll never see in my sources. So
Never.
okay, so here's where, so this is in Germany, this is what Eisenkraut. So we talked about that all other name, and it means ironwort. So again, the connection with Mars. So in India, we have more stuff from India. So in the northeastern territories, this is like it's more rural. The traditional communities like Chakpa of Manipur, they've used it like vervain decoctions, and it's interesting they say decoctions. I don't know if it's a decoction or if they're using it as an infusion. It's pretty woody. I'm kind of looking at it. I may want to. So if you don't know the difference between a decoction and an infusion, it is pretty woody. like a decoction.
I can hear it. It sounds woody.
Yeah. Anyway, so an infusion is used for like soft, like green leafy herbs generally because it's you don't want to and it's a shorter period of time and sometimes you just heat up the water and then take it off the stove or it's kind of like not continuously boiled where like a more rooty herb or like one that's more woody would have to be on a boil for a period of time. So it depends on the herb, but 10 minutes sometimes. And where like a softer herb, you would want to just like heat up the water and then put the herb in the water or pour the hot water over the herb and then let it steep for some time. So that's the difference between an infusion is one that's like steeped for some time without actually being on the burner, and a decoction is actually on the burner on the stove top, like being like for a period of time.
Like boiling pasta almost. You're
Yeah,
like
exactly.
cooking it like you
Well,
would pasta.
you gotta get to the goodness. I mean, if it's like woody
Yeah.
and rooty, you've got to think. You've got to like, it's not gonna be
Yeah.
easily broken down by a little bit of hot water for 10 minutes. So you gotta
Hmm.
like have it boiling water for 10 minutes, maybe longer. Some herbs require longer. So anyway, so the people, the Chakpa of Manipur, they've used it for female reproductive health and a topical application for wounds and cuts. So the Pawnee Nation also have used Vervain, and it was used to enhance the dream process. So the Pawnee Nation is from the Great Plains. And they were, I like to put this in because they were originally the Pawnee Nation was in what is now Kansas and Nebraska, but today the Pawnee Nation is located in Oklahoma. So many nations were relocated from where they lived before Whitey came in and relocated them to push them all into Oklahoma. So many nations are now, their headquarters are located in Oklahoma, but that's not where they were. Anyway, so they used it for dreaming, which is really interesting. Maybe Jupiter-ish a little. So this is so rad. Okay. In France, okay, I don't know if you know what this is, but I have like I had to find a picture of it, and of course AI did not want to make this picture because Vervain was part of the process of creating like a hand of glory. So when you hear about hands of glory in Le Petit Albert, which is a French grimoire from Lyon in 1782. And this process, a real hand was used. A real hand was chopped off a hangman and it was prepared so that it could be used as a candle. So the whole, and what it, somebody would hold this real hand that was used as a candle and they were supposedly going to be made invisible, or you could hold it and then it would, the people that looked upon the hand of glory would be paralyzed. So, but Vervain was
I
part of
could
the
see
process
why.
of creating it. I know I would be paralyzed.
I would also be paralyzed. And you would be invisible to me because I would only be staring at the hand.
Exactly. As I held it, I'd be like, "Ee!"
I know.
I don't know what I think.
Mm.
So this is a rendition of the Hand of Glory. So then we get to the magical properties. See, there was like a ton of lore. I felt like that was just
Yeah.
an insane amount of lore. So magical properties. So it's used for abundance, fortune, and luck, which is Mercury. So money, prosperity, all that stuff. So luck is definitely tied to Mercury. So you can grow it near other plants to encourage more abundant growth. You can brew it into a tea. I hate that. Sorry.
I know. I do
A
that too sometimes.
decoction. It's not a tea.
Yeah.
Tea is an actual plant. I don't know how many times I'll have
Hmm.
to say that before people get it. But because I hear it all, and I use it. Obviously, it's in our nomenclature, but tea
Yeah.
is an actual plant. So you brew it in a decoction and drink it for luck, success, and healing. So it's also calming and it's tied to sleep and tranquil dreaming. We saw that in the Pawnee Nation. So you can scatter this in your home to bring peace. You can put it under your pillow for good, peaceful dreaming. It's also about chastity, and we kind of saw that with the virgin having to like tie the thing, the how
Mm-hmm.
they collected it was through
Edward
a
Kelly.
virgin, right? On her toe,
Mm-hmm.
her big toe. It's also tied with divination. So if you want to tell if somebody has stolen something from you, you can wear a sprig of vervain while you're questioning them. And then they won't be
Mm.
able to lie about it. They'll have to you know what? You'll be able to recognize like some real obvious tell that they're lying. Like they'll be doing something like repeatedly that's obviously like or looking in weird fritting ways or something like that. And you'll be like,
Hmm.
for sure they're lying. So you can cleanse and anoint divinatory tools. So it's also been rumored to be a flying ointment component as well. It's linked to creativity and fertility. So it's used by poets and singers to bring inspiration and make their performances better. So there's more. Fae magic. Obviously, we saw it tied to like the Fae and some of the lore. You can strew it in your garden as an offering to the Fae. You always want to be nice to the Fae. It's used for healing, and magical healing. So we want to draw a connection to that distinction. But we're in magical properties. So if you want to do like a magical spell work, use it can be used for healing in that. It's also tied to love. And so it's used to draw love. And if you want to draw love, you can burn it. You can wash your hands in verbena decoction, but then don't touch anything until you touch the person that you're interested in, and then they will show you love if you do that. Yeah, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you want to keep from fighting with your spouse, you should keep verbena in a sachet, probably behind your wedding picture. Oh, look. Or in a sachet, if you keep it in a sachet around your house, it will create peace in your home. You can carry it in a red little bag to attract love. So it's also, though, said to have some anti-love properties. So if a man gathers it before sunrise on the first day of a noon moon, he wouldn't be lustful for 7 years. And that was kind of like priests and stuff would use that. So that
Mm-hmm.
idea, but it had to be a certain time. It had to be, you had to gather it on sunrise, not on a full moon, because then it would maybe attract love. Had to be at sunrise on the first day of a new moon. So that's like the other way, right? So we're new moon is like getting bigger and increasing, and all the cleansing and stuff was the other way, the full moon to the dark moon, right? So more. It's used in wand making. It's also a powerful herb for women. It's also tied to children and youth. So you can have them, if you want to have your children learn better, and you should have them bathe in with some verbena. And if you don't want to get it all over your bathtub, the best idea would to be put it in a little tea bag or in like a pouch of made from cheesecloth. And then you can steep it and maybe put a couple of those in there and then have them bathe in it for better learning. So you can carry a sprig for everlasting youth. It's because it's an herb of immortality. So if you want to stay young forever, maybe young at heart, maybe you'll look younger. I don't know. You tell me. Protection. So it's part of this 9 herb blend. So verbena, yarrow, wood betony, elecampane, rue, mugwort, celandine, nettle, and white clove. And that's an old European protective infusion decoction. I don't know why I use tea all over the place. Maybe I was
I
just
know.
not feeling like writing it out. It's really
Mm.
bothering me, but whatever. Now it's bothering me. I wish it bothered me when I made this damn slideshow. What the hell was going on that it didn't bother me then? Maybe I was
Yeah.
just tired. So, and it would protect you against magic of other people. So it's protection from headaches and venomous bites. It can be protection from vampires and witchcraft. It can be protection against lightning and storms, and you can use it in your home for that. It also can be bound to ceremonial swords, so you can tie it onto ceremonial swords, and you can draw magic protection circles. And that's, of course, we're tying it to Mars again with your sword.
Have you like looked up or are you at all familiar with the Nine Arms Charm?
No, are you?
I think we've talked about it before a long time ago, but yeah, I have it in my book, but it's interesting because it's very old-timey where you're like supposed to say this specific thing while you're doing these specific things, and yeah, it's supposed to be for like any type of like ailment. It's interesting. I'm not really, I don't know, I don't really align with it, but I think it's interesting. I like old-timey stuff like that.
Me too. Like it's like we made that what was that? I have it actually. No, it's in the other room. It's that oh, what was the name? In fact, I'm gonna go look. It was we made that. It was from those nuns. Remember those nuns made that healing and then we each put an herb of our liking into it. I'm gonna have to go look at it. Hold on.
I do not remember.
You must. Hold on. Hold
I'm
on.
sure I will when you talk about it.
Carmelite.
Oh,
Carmelite. That
yes, the
Carmelite.
Carmelite.
Yes, so
Yeah.
we put all those herbs together and then we like
Yes.
meditated on an herb that was like for us for healing. And mine was
Yes.
violet, which was awesome. So
Mm.
yeah, I still have like my Carmelite stuff there. So anyway,
Nice.
so
Mm.
so for cleansing, purification, and binding. So this is where it gets the rubber meets the road, the cleansing part, right? So to break a jinx, you feed like whatever, like a mojo or an unjinxing item, whatever like item you're using for unjinxing with the smoke of verbena, sandalwood, agrimony, and you dress it with specific oil, the correct oil for whatever you're trying to break, whatever type of jinx you're trying to break free of. So go ahead. Did you want to say?
No, I just,
Okay.
it's interesting. Yeah.
So you wear it on your body to cleanse yourself of fever or poisoning from a curse.
Mm.
Priest used it to cleanse sacrifices. So if you're making a sacrifice, it cleanses and protects against depression and negative emotions. You can you can use Vervain to cleanse fear. And the way you do that is to light a candle to the deity that's your matron deity, and I won't even your matron.
Yeah.
And then you surround that candle with Vervain, and then you speak aloud your desire to be released from fear. You can burn it to cleanse yourself from feelings of unrequited love. So again, that poultice on your heart. I feel like that's
Mm.
another poultice on your heart,
Mm.
as well as tea tree, which we saw as a poultice on your heart. It is worn as a wreath on the head by priests during exorcisms. So you can cleanse magic wands and magical tools with vervains prior to use. And again, Mercury. You can cleanse and banish witches, demons, and even the devil himself. The devil, 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 and his weef, wife, woof. So that's that. So now we're going to go on to medical uses. And I always provide this disclaimer. We are not doctors. And if you think we're a doctor, then you are fooling yourself. So we're not providing any medical advice or diagnose anything. Or if you have a medical issue, you should go see a doctor. We like doctors. We always say
We do
we
like
should see a
doctors.
licensed physician. We like physician. So medical properties. So it's a nervine tonic, a sedative, an antispasmodic, a diaphoretic, a possible galactagogue, a hepatic, an analgesic, an antibilious, an emmenagogue, an expectorant, a pectoral, and astringent. So, of course, it's anti-inflammatory. We'll just start there. Ye old rheumatism cure. Okay, everything is ye old rheumatism cure.
Oh, I took a picture or something. I'm gonna send it to you.
Of what?
I was at this thrift store and I was looking at their books
Mhm.
and one of their books that is called Are You Sure It's Arthritis? I was like, oh my gosh, the first place that's like maybe it's not.
Exactly. You're like, huh,
Yeah,
exactly. Maybe
so funny.
you don't need,
Maybe it's
there are
something you
some
need.
people that think like it's like that universalism about medicine is a strange one to me. Like everything is
Mm,
caused by inflammation. Like every disease in
yeah,
the world is caused by inflammation. Like you get smallpox
yeah.
because of inflammation. Like everything is inflammation. Or like what's the other
Mm,
one that I always hear? Like everything can be cured by there's a lot of different ones that are like funny like that. Oh yeah,
yeah.
like what's it called? Like oh, who are those people that crack your back?
Oh,
Like
chiropractors.
chiropractors can cure everything.
Yeah,
Strep
care
throat.
everything.
Strep throat. If you have strep throat,
Yeah.
go to a chiropractor. I'm just teasing, of course, but I've
High
heard
blood pressure, card.
what.
I said high blood pressure, go to your
Exactly.
chiropractor.
Everything. It's like these universalisms are kind of like
Yeah,
strange. You're like, no.
yeah.
But so it's been said.
Mm.
Many
Hasn't
people have
said.
said it. Many,
Um,
so that Vervain helps asthma and exhaustion, fatigue, insomnia. It's supposed to strengthen the nervous system so that you can relax easier and so that you can be released from tension and stress. It's supposed to help with seizures, depression, and melancholia is especially if you have depression and melancholia after an extended illness. Vervain is supposed to ease that. It's a fever reducer, the diaphoretic part. That means it's a fever reducer. So the gallstone and liver disorder. So that's where you get the tie to Jupiter as well. So because Jupiter is tied with liver issues, and the hepatic, you saw that, and the antibilious, that's all liver tied to, and gallstones, and we saw that as like even the name for it, like the Fey, whatever it is, the to be
yeah, like
cleansed of.
stone away or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. So it helps with inflammation of the gallbladder, which I get, and I'm definitely going to be brewing a decoction of Vervain if I should happen to have any um, avocado because it causes my gallbladder to
Mm,
be horribly inflamed, and that is no fun
yeah,
and no joke. So
yeah,
it also is supposed to help jaundice. So if somebody has jaundice, give them Vervain.
yeah.
Bladder stones, another like stone be gone because we've gone to a different system altogether. So headaches and migraines. So if you have headaches and migraines, you should bruise it and wear it around your neck. Seems a little seems a little magical.
Yeah,
Just in
for
my
sure.
opinion. We're now moving into the magical realm when we're talking about bruising it and wearing it around your neck.
Yeah.
Menopause. So it's used for symptoms, I suppose, of menopause. Hysteria! Woo, the old hysteria cure.
Yay.
I know, we love a good hysteria
We
cure.
love a good
I feel
hysteria
hysterical
cure.
with it. I feel hysterical.
Yeah.
Need some Vervain. It's good to be used as a mouthwash. So it also, these are two different bacterias. The bacteria that causes cavities and the bacteria that causes gum disease are different bacterias. And it's supposed to work against both of those bacterias inside your mouth. It's a purgative. So if you have 2 ounces of it to a quart of water, it will purge and ease bowel pain. Although purgative seems like horribly distressing. So
Yeah.
it can
Oh.
also be used for hemorrhoids, applying externally, probably because it's a astringent. So many
Mm.
astringent herbs can be used for hemorrhoids. It can be used to increase breast milk, so that's the galactagogue part. And it's a powerful lymphatic detoxifier, cleansing, more cleansing. It's good for habitual bronchial coughing. So did we call
Mm.
it an expectorant? Probably. Skin ailments as well. So anything that is going to cleanse your liver or help with your liver is also going to help with skin ailments. It's like connected together, so it's often that's the case. There's more. In traditional Chinese medicine, because we saw that it was also a plant that was found in China and Japan or in Asia. So um, it's used in traditional Chinese medicine for clearing heat and detoxifying. So it's treats conditions like fever and dysentery, which in Western herbalism we saw that as well. So the diaphoretic and also the purgative. So
Mm.
but it's also used for moving blood and removing stasis. So hold on, let me just go back here. Hold on. I wanted to look at the beginning, which is irritating that I'm doing this. Oh, an emmenagogue. So moving the blood. So we talked about, so that's like increasing your blood, like a menstrual blood. So moving, but it's used in traditional Chinese medicine for moving blood and removing stasis. It's prescribed for issues related to poor blood circulation and amenorrhea, the absence of menstruation. So if anybody has that, probably if you also have anorexia,
Yeah, super common. Or
because
if you
yeah,
like
or
in
aggressive.
like body competitions,
Yeah,
right? Like muscle
aggressively work
competition.
out. If you
Yeah.
lower your fat, if a woman lowers her fat content in her body below a certain level, she will cease having menses. So,
Mm.
yeah, that. Promoting urination and reducing edema. That's probably why it gets rid of all those stones. It's used for treat fluid retention and swelling. So here's all the books that I used, and I used quite a few, and I didn't use any articles. I only used books because there was so much. I couldn't bear to get it. Like, how much more? Like, how much more?
Yeah.
You could see this was huge. So, Barrel, of course, Briggs, which is a good one. I always love Briggs. And Briggs is
Yeah.
more, it's a good one. Dietz, which I like Dietz as well. Greer, um, the Encyclopedia of Natural Magic, Grieve, of course, Hoffman, The
Yeah.
Complete Illustrated Holistic Herbal. That's often a book that if you're taking just a medicinal herbal class, that's like one of their textbooks, and it's like illustrated and beautiful, but it's really awesome. I really enjoy it. Fez Inkwright, which he also does a poison book. So, and he gives us all those lovely poems. So when I find an herb with Fez Inkwright, then and folk magic and healing, often that's when you'll find a poem. Mercatante is the Magic Garden. That's a new book I've gotten. It's like a book from the 70s. Papa Jim. So Papa Jim has a store out in Texas, and I bought his book, Papa Jim's Herbal Magic Workbook. The Witching Herbs by Harold Roth. Ironwoad, Catherine, that's Hoodoo Herb and Root Magic, which is pretty standard, even though she's, yeah. Anyway, it's a pretty standard, like if you want to know about um, herbalism and hoodoo. And then Herbs in Magic and Alchemy by Zalewski. So there we go. That's what it is. So let me just get out of here and we'll stop the share. And that is Vervain. There's so much, but one of its many uses is cleansing. So, we saw cleansing all over the place with Vervain. So use it freely to cleanse, and then use it for its other things too. Do a deep dive, and a lot of these herbs have many different uses, and you saw that it was tied to many different planets too. We kind of went through those, so I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something from that. Actually, you know what? Before I stop, I want to say one more thing to everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back and I'll cut that piece out. I want to go back and I want to tell you that I am going to be out of town for a while. So you may have like a little blip where I'm going to try to space these out a little bit more. So maybe there won't be a blip. And maybe when we get back, I'll do where I'm going is I'm going out of the country. And so I'm going to look at herbal places. If we go to an herbal place, my boyfriend is going to be, it's going to be a sad and sore moment for him when I stop at every herb place and have to like video and buy. And it's going to be like, he's going to be insane with it. He has no clue what happens when, and I have to say that it also happened up in Santa Rosa has an incredible herbal store that I like lost my marbles in. But I'm hoping to find herb stores there and hoping to get some actual Dittany of Crete because it's very difficult to find here. Like it's Dittany of Crete is like it's not real around like where like if you buy it and it's not expensive or it's easy to obtain, it's probably not real. So, anyway, I don't know if we have a Dittany of Crete video, but I'm hoping to get some of that and bring it back with me. Anyway, so you may get like the first thing back because I won't have time to prepare anything really. Might just be like a little discussion about the herbs that I found in Greece. And that's where I'm going is Greece. So obviously Dittany of Crete. Anyway, so yeah, if you didn't get that, Crete is a large island off Greece. Although I'm not going to Crete, I'm going to another island, and so that's that. And so I'll try to space these out a little bit, and then anyway, so then that's that, and we will see you at the next Ditch Witch Diaries.